All right, everyone. So 2022 is going to be an interesting year. So 2021, we had a lot of energy shifts, a lot of energy updates, reaching new frequencies. So we've been exposed to new frequencies for 2021. And 2022, it's like we're getting used to living in these new frequencies. So, like, the changes haven't happened yet. Well, there may be changes starting to happen. There's lots of chaos, lots of division that seems to happen whenever there's a lot of higher frequencies exposed. But over time, people will learn to adapt to these frequencies, and that's kind of what 2022 is about. Is about us learning to exist or coexist, I guess you could say, within a higher frequency. And there's going to be lots of changes coming up. So, the first thing that I was seeing when I was tuning into 2022 is a little out there, but I'm just going to say what I saw. So, I don't necessarily see things literally, I see things symbolically in nature, first and foremost, but sometimes they can be literal as well. So what I was seeing was an image of Joe Biden shaking the hands of an alien, and the very first thing I got was aliens. Like that's as crazy as that sounds. That's what I got. Aliens. I was like, okay, aliens. All right. And then I saw like Joe Biden shaking the hands of aliens and making some sort of deal. So I got that this is a positive thing, not a negative thing. And it had to do with technology being released to the public and things that may benefit society. So it's definitely a positive thing. I'm not saying that there's going to be news and shake Joe Biden's hand and it's going to be all over the news. That's not what I'm saying. Um, Although I do think that there is something going on there and information, deals being made on some level of new things coming to society, to humanity, specifically the US, but other countries as well. Actually, I wouldn't say specifically only the US, but the US is one of the bigger driving forces of this movement going on in the world, which is part of the awakening of humanity as well. And I'm not saying that the US is necessarily good or bad or whatever. It's one of the things that are being affected by this awakening, by this shift of consciousness. So I got the sense that Joe Biden was kind of juggling the complexity of the situation of integrating like this update um, into society, into humanity, and how far to go, exactly what can he do, where are his limits, what can be exposed, what can't be exposed, things of that nature. So I do get there's this slow release of information coming out to the public about things that may be shocking to many people. Um, However, there's this control of the information in a way as to control society for the benefit of those who are in charge. So there's a bit of this kind of, elitist type of regulation over the general public's perception of what's going on. But at the same time, a lot of people are so far behind or have certain beliefs, whether they're religious, spiritual beliefs, or whatever types of beliefs people have. Some of this information can cause like an inflammatory reaction within society. And so it's good to have this slow release on some level as well to kind of damper down the side effects, so to speak, of releasing a whole bunch of information that people may not know how to comprehend or integrate into their reality. Um, so I do get that there are massive changes coming to the U.S. economy, like radical changes, devastating on some level for a lot of people. Um, but some people who are not necessarily doing so good in the first place, a lot of people will actually benefit from it. So it's a lot of change, good and bad. Long term, I do see it being good. Like short term, I see it being more chaotic and not necessarily so great for everyone. But as a whole, I see it as being a positive change. Again, it is controlled on some level, being manipulated, but it's not necessarily so black and white, good or evil. You know, it's kind of a blend of all of the above. So I also get the sense that there's going to be like a new threat to the human psyche or a new threat to humanity or like kind of like coronavirus or whatever big thing out there. There's kind of like a new thing in the collective consciousness of humanity that's kind of uniting people more. I get that there's going to be a rewriting of policies, government policies, specifically between two different countries, even just more cooperation between different countries. Um, Also, just rewriting, what like foreign relations, but also just like the legal system itself potentially. I'm not saying necessarily that, but I could see it going as far as rewriting like laws. Um, I I definitely get the efficiency will be a big theme here, and it'll be increasing the efficiency of the economy of the United States, the world economy, everyone's economies, and I see that as being a very positive thing. Lots of unifying here, people working together, countries working together more, and creating more efficiency between them. So there's these bigger picture ideas for 2022, um, and they're going to be in the sense that there's like a new external threat. There will be a new perspective on something bigger that kind of makes everyone united more. I I do see this as a positive. As much as there is manipulation within it, I also see that it is heading in a positive direction for humanity as a whole. There are many wars potentially going on in like a general geography area. I was saying that there's potential for like explosions and war happening, um, kind of like Moscow area, like the very like northeast of Russia, but more so going to Finland and Norway. And when I was reading this, I was kind of trying to read more about it, and Sweden specifically came up in my mind. So there could be some conflicts around Sweden potentially in 2022, that could be leading to battles, wars, explosions, possibly. However, I did not get that this will be related to the United States. This is why I kind of call it like mini wars, because it's not like the big global powers, um, the bigger global powers will be focused more on integrating rather than battling. Of course, there's always a little bit of both. So the US, I see focusing on this bigger picture of kind of securing a grid over the world on some level for survival purposes. That could be like contracts and agreements with countries, etc. And I don't particularly see it being negative. As I've been saying over and over, there are negative elements to this, such as control, manipulation, power, but I do see this as overall being a positive thing for the most part. More positivity than negativity. I'll put it that way. There could be potential attacks on China. And that's what I was seeing for 2022. Although in the long run, I don't think that this is necessarily going to be some huge event playing out for the next couple years or so. I did do a video on China specifically, my psychic predictions for China, and I also did one on India. I don't know if I've posted that one yet on YouTube or not, but I will be posting it sometime this month if I haven't posted it yet. So be sure to check those out if you're interested in that. So back to 2022, there's like this cultural shift going on worldwide. And I kind of mentioned in my India psychic prediction video how the country is kind of preserving its culture in a way that's kind of not progressing, but at the same time it's kind of cool because they're preserving their culture, whereas everywhere else is kind of losing their culture. And I get the sense that there's like this new kind of futuristic culture coming in, and the best way I can describe it is almost like futuristic Star Trek vibe. A little bit less expressive overall, in the sense that people's expressions are a little more simplified, but people are also more to the point as well, so kind of less extreme, I guess you could say. And also, I was getting that the divisiveness will kind of slow down a little bit. Like 2020, there's a lot of divisiveness. 2022, it's fading out a little more. So one thing that I got that was kind of weird was I kept seeing Joe Biden as being very influential of the whole world, and like the new policies, kind of the new system being put in place. And I got the sense I just kind of saw Mark Zuckerberg and Joe Biden, and there's like this weird similarity between them in the sense that Mark Zuckerberg controls a lot of social media and how the policies are run there, and how that influences people's perceptions of just everything. And I think they were even doing studies to see how they could manipulate people's emotions, or how people would feel, and how that changes what they click on in Facebook. I don't really know the details, but they're doing weird things like that, like studies on human behavior through what they're posting. And I'm getting that there's some sort of, not necessarily quite like that, but some sort of similarity with Joe Biden to having the control over the world in a similar level to that, on a similar level to that, I should say. Um, but it's more through like cold hard numbers and just facts and things of that nature. And I get like it's like this kind of like cold blue type of vibe that I'm getting. This isn't necessarily related to Joe Biden. Actually, this is not related to Joe Biden. I forgot to mention this earlier, but just as like the kind of cultural changes, just the general vibe of the planet, it's kind of like this blue cold vibration, if that makes any sense. Things are just kind of toned down, but also more clear and kind of like there's like an airy water element to this new vibration that we're going to be experiencing more in 2022. So, yeah, along with that, there's going to be this massive shift in world views, and I mean like a radical shift in how people view reality. People will become much more open minded, less radicalized sides, like opposing sides, people picking this side, being extreme on this side or extreme on that side or whatever. If there's like more than two sides, I don't know. Either way, there's going to be less of that because people's minds will kind of open up more and be like, oh wow, like this is nothing like what I thought. Like, why are we, fighting over these petty issues, because they'll see something bigger that's much more important than their opinion on a political issue or whatever. Those will become less the big picture and more small details. So humanity is going to be working as a whole on integrating new information and ways of doing things for 2022, as well as social expectations, just what you expect of people, and even just how you view yourself will change a lot. And I think people will be much more um, open and approving of other people, less critical and cynical. So, what's good for 2022 as the whole year? What I was getting when I asked that question was I was seeing an image of a girl on a swing made out of ropes tied to a tree, and she was just swinging back and forth very carefree, and it was like the wind was blowing, and it was just kind of about a, like being in the sense of abandonment and just kind of allowing yourself to experience the elements of nature with the wind and just enjoying that sort of thing. So enjoying the ride is really important for 2022, and learning to go with the flow, because things are going to be, not quite as boxed in and analytical as you would want them to be. So you need to really learn to just enjoy the ride and just go with the flow. Keeping up with the trends is also going to be something that could be very beneficial, especially within the financial changes coming this way. So keeping up with that financially, whether that's through cryptocurrencies, which could have massive changes coming, or just new a whole new system of operation of government and finances. So keeping up with that could be very beneficial for you to stay on top of. Um, Enlisting to be part of something bigger is also very good for 2022. Being part of like a bigger, like the family of humanity, things for like a bigger cause, everybody coming together, working as one. That's very much so the vibe of 2022. Trying new things, also very important to try new things, because The more that you are able to experience something completely new, um, maybe even paradigm shifting, these new things are going to be very profound and helpful for you, and they're going to take you to a new place where you want to go, and things will be changing so rapidly that you're going to need to keep adapting and keep up to date with the changes of the world. So what's bad for 2022? Um, Trying to be a hero. So don't try to be the person who saves the world, because if anything, you're going to be having to work with other people as a group, not being the person who stands out and conquers the demon by himself or herself. That's not how it's going to work. It's not about the individual, which leads me to the next thing that's bad for 2022: individuality. And I know that sounds kind of bad because we've been kind of programmed to always view individuality as something good in our culture, as a Western culture specifically. But I'm seeing that individuality is actually not a good thing to be too stuck on in 2022. It's fine to be an individual, obviously, but don't get stuck on your individuality. You have to be able to kind of flow with things a little bit more than always just being your own individual person. Trying to fight the enemy is also something to avoid, and I say enemy with quotation marks because the enemy might not actually be the enemy, and you may find yourself barking up the wrong tree. Or this could go back to the hero scenario where you're not going to be able to do it on your own, and you're going to hurt yourself or kill yourself in the process. Trying too hard at things kind of stubbornly, in the sense that you may just be hitting your head against the wall over and over. These scenarios are situations that could happen due to a stubborn inability to be flexible and maybe even compromise a little bit or give up your perspective on things. So that's another situation that is bad for 2022, is trying too hard when something just isn't working, and you're just trying to force it to work out for you in a specific way. Maybe look for a different way of going about it. Maybe stop what you're doing and just give up and just find a different answer. Sticking to your guns, not a good thing for 2022. Again, going with the flow, very important for 2022. Getting in fights over things is just not going to help you whatsoever. And I'm not saying that because that's always the case, which it kind of usually is, but I'm saying that specifically for 2022. There's just something about the energy and the updates that are going on that it's like you're going to be quarreling about some issue while the world is moving on and moving on and updating and updating up, and here you are arguing over some crap that doesn't matter. It's like you're just going to get lost and completely lose your footing, lose your grip on reality, doing that, sticking to your guns, because it's going to become so outdated. That's what I'm trying to say. It's going to be so outdated. The positions you had on things, your where you stand with things, it's going to become outdated because things are going to be shifting so much. So don't stick to your guns. And don't be a know-it-all. That's the very last thing that's bad, is don't be a know-it-all. So my general advice for 2022 would be learn to work together as a group, because unity is the key to 2022. 2022 is all about unity and going with the flow. And as cheesy as this may sound, being like water, kind of like Bruce Lee philosophy, uh, maybe even the Taoist philosophy, which is where he got that from, was Taoism with the water element. That's going to be very important, and it's kind of about softening, washing things away, not trying to stand out like a sore thumb, but kind of just going with the flow and just working together as a whole. So that's my psychic predictions and energy reading for the whole year of 2022. So that's very generalized. I will be making monthly readings for each month, obviously, as well. So thanks for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you are interested in a private psychic reading, you can always check out my website, which I will post below, psychictide.yolasite.com, or you can just go there to learn more about me. All right, thank you for watching and have a great day.